To the line, shall we? To see it. We are in a great place. Let's go and see if I can hear one of the callers. 03717 22 33. Now, I'm pretty nervous about this. I'm hoping that I'm going to hear Matt, the Birmingham fan, his voice now. Good evening, Matt.
Evening, Matt.
Evening, Jen.
Yes.
Matt, I've never been so happy to speak to a Birmingham City fan in my life as just then, because I don't know what I would have done had you not been on the other end of the line. How are you?
I'm okay. I've been to the game tonight,
Okay, for those that don't know, explain what happened and the story of the game, because it sounded quite dramatic.
Well, it was diabolical, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
And a bit like a Tottenham fan you had on, I think last week. I left before the end, 10 minutes before the end. I was
you've done that, have you?
And then I've heard the 2 goals rattle in on talkSPORT as I've sat in my car on the way back. But look, I think my point is...
Hold on. Sorry, Matt, so you're a Birmingham City fan. You were 2-0 down at home to Peterborough. Peterborough had led since the 16th minute. They went 2-0 up on the 67th minute. Gardner scored on the 85th to back them back into the game. You had left by the 85th minute.
I'd left on the 81st, so I just got in my car. I got a good car park spot,
right,
not too far. So but look, that's besides the point.
Sorry, are you bothered? Are you bothered that you missed the 2 goals, Matt? You couldn't care less.
I couldn't care less. I'll tell you why I couldn't care less, right? Because firstly, you've done some coverage for us on the ownership and BSHL out and all that good stuff.
To White and Jordan, yeah.
And look, I don't detract from that, and a lot of fans are going to get on my back for this because we're not a club that turns against any of our managers, any of our players. We just don't do that. But we've got to disassociate the current performances on the pitch from the board situation, because the board situation is a joke, right? But tonight we've got Peterborough, who have got the worst defensive record in the league, and we've barely mustered a shot on target until the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. Right. And besides that, it's just really... I mean, I challenge any football fan in the world to come and sit down to Andrews. I'd pay for your ticket, Jays. I'd pay for your pucker pie, whatever you wanted, and to sit through that. You wouldn't want it.
Well, 3 shots on target you had. You did have... I've got the stats in front of me. You did have 12 shots throughout the game, 3 on target. 2 of those ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah, but it's not. It's Peterborough. They've done us. They've done us at their place 3-0. I mean, we scraped to that. That shouldn't plaster over it. I've seen more movement, right, in Sabutio. This club, right. It's got a power, magical power. Do you remember watching Space Jam as a kid? Not the remake, the Michael Jordan original.
Yes, I do know that.
Where they put their hands on the football and it just saps all of their power out of the good players and the Toon squad. Any footballer that comes to Birmingham, within 6 months we kick the good football out of them, and Matt, they unlearn how to play football.
Matt, obviously I was at Villa, so I keep an eye on Birmingham's results, and I watch how the club's getting on. Have you recovered since I think Zola took over? When was it? Gary Rowett was doing really well.
Yeah,
and they appointed Zola, and he
right.
doesn't seem to have recovered from that moment.
We haven't recovered, but it's largely the ownership that's in place. I mean, the ownership was in place just before then anyway, but bad decision to get rid of Rowett. But there was some stuff going on in the background. He didn't want to sign a new contract. He wanted to sniff about a few of the clubs that were potentially interested. So you can't knock him for that. But then the recruitment thereafter has been absolutely shocking. We know what's gone on with the club. Faithless ownership. Dance has covered it. A few others have covered it as well. It's poor. But what we've witnessed tonight and what we've continued to witness, we just give them too much rope. We give them too much rope. We give them too much slack. It hasn't been good enough for as long as I can remember down there. And something has to change off the field, but it cannot mask what we're being put through every single week. And Boya, a big love for Boya. He's great with us and the fans love him. He was part of the cup-winning squad. But tactically tonight, it was really poor. I think we had 3 left wingers on at one point and nothing on the right-hand side. There was just no shape.
What did he do at the end to get the result then? He must have done something right at the end.
I didn't see it. I think I walked out, didn't I?
What's the point of asking you?
From what I gather, I think we eventually got the ball out wide.
Yeah, I've just seen it on the monitor, Matt. The ball goes out on the left-hand side. The lad gets across the near post and nods it in. Listen, Matt, I appreciate the call. You're right, we have been covered at Dance, and I've heard him on White and Jordan a couple of times. It's clearly a desperate situation down there, and fingers crossed he gets it sorted for you.
Yeah, cheers, James.
Well, just before you go, Matt, just before you go, we are going to have a side issue here about what would you, as the fan, choose to look back on at a moment in your club's history that you could change. So, Matt, you've got a magic wand in your hand, and I'm guessing, talking to you, there may be one or two, but if there's one thing you could look back on over the time you've been a Blues fan, what one moment would you change, and you can change it whatever way you like? What would it be?
I wouldn't have got rid of Rowett, and I'd have given him the money he wanted to stay, and that might not go down well with a load of things, but we were in a period of stability there. And I think we needed just to hold that out. Yeah, and cut our nose off to spite our face. Dig deep. Not blow Rowett out, because I think he was sniffing around other clubs. But I think if we'd given him the money he wanted and we'd have given him some assurances, I think it's it has stuck.
Nothing else, Matt, you can think of that might give it. Is there nothing else? Is that the what?
There's probably loads of things. If I sat and
put you on the spot, haven't I?
Yeah, you've put me on, but I think that's the thing that comes to mind, because you've put the managers. I think it was yourself then put the managers in my head. That's probably what I lean to first. But there are a number of things that we've got wrong as a club and the board. Or it could arguably, take us way back.
Yeah.
Would I take Gold and Sullivan back? I probably would.
Oh man, that's interesting. So you actually would have rather they stayed. That would have been the move. You'd rather Gold and Sullivan stayed.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah, of course. But you're allowed, Matt. That's what we're allowed. You've got a wand. You have that wand of hindsight in your hand.
Didn't expect that one.
Sullivan and Gold back.
Sullivan and Gold back to Birmingham.
Okay.